Welcome back to Closing Time with Nick El-Tawil. I am once again Nick El-Tawil, and I'm here with my good friend and also colleague, Derek Tschilar. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Good to see you, brother.
As we call him, DT. DT. So DT is a World of Warcraft player. That's why he doesn't know how to pound. You know.
Okay.
We were just talking about this before we turned this on. I feel like as an adult, video games kind of keep you focused, right? Like, you don't want to go out and like be wild every single night. You want to keep your schedule, but you still need some downtime for yourself at the end of the day. So I feel like that's a very mature and actually very healthy way to handle things.
Yeah, I think I've had an interesting relationship with video games because I played video games on and off my whole life, but I've always found my way back to them. You know, I would take several years off of playing them, and I think you hit a point where you get so burnt out, like your brain needs some sort of dopamine, and so if you're not out there drinking, socializing, not using some sort of drug or something, essentially video games can have the same effect as a drug in a way, but not the negative,
The hangover,
not
yeah.
but the positive effects of the dopamine. So then you kind of feel more refreshed when you go back to work because you finally let your brain give a rest, not just overthinking about work and stressing out and everything. So it's just kind of a good way to mentally tunnel vision on something else and not have to think about work.
I agree 100%. And it's funny because growing up, people would always be like, oh, video games, they're bad for you, this and that. But actually, if you're looking at hobbies, it's probably the healthiest one, assuming you have a balanced life. You still work out, you still, take care of what you need to for work.
100%. So that's the thing, right? Hit your goals for the day. Make sure you go to the gym. Goals. Make sure you gotten all the work done you absolutely need to. Make sure you spent that quality time with your partner. Make sure you've done everything that you need to do.
I don't have one of those.
Make sure you need to do all your productive tasks in the day before you hop on any sort of video game. But give yourself that time to get that mental reset. It doesn't have to be video games. It could be breath work. It could be the gym. The gym's a really good, obviously, mental reset. But even when I go to the gym, I'm getting spam called by clients. I'm texting. So you really need to find something where you can really get your mind off of work completely, whether that's for an hour or two. And then that way, the next day or when you go back to work, you're going to have that complete mental reset and you're not going to have that burnout.
I agree 100%. And it's the opposite of what we heard growing up, which I think is so funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, on back to real life and work. Derek, you're a real estate agent. You were in car sales for what, 8-9 years?
A little under 10 years, yeah.
A little under 10 years in car sales.
Hopped around a few dealerships. It's a great business. It taught me a lot of the fundamentals of sales. And, I really believe in salesmanship and, I just believe that in any sort of industry, you can go create a ton of value and make a ton of money, and it's all value based. And as a byproduct of you helping people and creating value, you're going to get paid a commission. So, I know people have a weird stigma about salesmen and commissions and stuff, but if you're someone with a lot of character, there's nothing wrong with working really hard and making a lot of money. I feel like there's a negative stigma around that. I'm not sure why. Yes, there are people that are going to take advantage of people, and that's wrong. But if you're working hard, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money and getting paid a lot of commission. It's just a byproduct of you helping people.
Agreed. I think it's a poor mentality for people when they say stuff like that. It's you did all this, you just want money so you can be a bad person or have power over people. No, money is just energy at the end of the day.
I used to feel really guilty about making I've done well for myself in my 20s. I'm now 31. I want to be humble. I'm not a millionaire by any means, but I've always done pretty well. I've always kind of had it figured out. I've always kind of naturally been a good salesperson, and I've also just worked a lot. But I used to kind of feel guilty, am I doing something wrong? Because you have to have a healthy relationship with money, and you have to feel okay about receiving money. If someone wants to give you money for something, you have to feel okay to accept it. We're kind of taught it's wrong to accept money for some reason. But if you change your perspective on that and you're no, I'm helping a lot of people, I'm creating value, I'm changing people's lives, I'm working really hard, and I'm providing a service is essentially what I'm doing, right? It's essentially what we're doing. Then there's nothing wrong with us getting paid, 2.5%, 3%, whatever the commission is, because we performed a service and we rendered a service for that client. And so, yeah, I think my relationship with money has definitely changed the last few years, and I've definitely got rid of this mental blockage and allowed kind of more abundance in my life from doing that.
It's also, I've seen you grow as a person since I met you. You know, you were single, now you got your, as you called her, your future fiance sitting right across from you.
My life partner for sure. My
Yeah.
soulmate. My soulmate, 100%.
Not Jensen.
So yeah, so on that topic about growth, it had to do with just getting older, and what people don't realize is that your psychology changes every few years. You're mentally and physically going to change. So psychologically, I've just changed a lot, but also just you have to be very intentional about what you want, right? And so I could have bought an apartment or a condo at the Optima, but I was ready to change my lifestyle because for me personally, I want to start a family, and I know that it's gonna be more appropriate and make a lot more sense to buy a house to raise my kids in and to find my significant other and all that, right? So I set that intention, and I kind of just took the actions of what would someone do, even though I don't have a partner right now. What would someone do that would make a lot of sense? Like what kind of person do I want to become to be ready to have my partner for when they show up? To be the best version of myself. So. I was like, I'm sure my partner would appreciate the fact that I probably, I don't drink, I don't smoke any weed, I don't take any drugs. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just talking about me personally, because I believe in a lot of alignment. If you want to have a healthy relationship, me personally, what I found, what I discovered when I went to a mastermind is they explained that you have to have a lot of alignment with your partner. It's one of the most important things. And so when I started dating again, I was looking for a partner that was going to share the same goals, the same vision as me, and we're going to have a lot of alignment, right? We're not going to be opposites. And so one thing I really appreciate about my girlfriend is she's, very goals based. She's taking a lot of action towards her goals in the gym. And so it reinforces the same goals I have. And so instead of having any sort of resistance in our relationship, we're on the same path, we have the same goals. And so we really it's just a mutually beneficial relationship where we're just pushing each other towards the best version of ourselves to accomplish our goals. Mm-hmm. So it all comes back to the word alignment. That was really important. And, you have to learn from every single relationship and encounter and strengthen your weaknesses to come back a better version of yourself, so that when you do find, someone else, you're a little bit more emotionally matured and, you can show up better for that person.
I agree 100%. And actually, that's why I'm single. Is because how many women are on my level doing the things I'm doing? Fucking nobody. So I just got to do the grind, and then eventually I'll be at the point where you find that person where you are aligned.
It's funny, as humans, like we definitely have like a mental self-sabotage that's like we're just born with, where we can tell ourselves like our person isn't out there because we haven't found them yet or whatever. But if you just keep a positive mindset and you just set a standard, and I'm not going to date anyone or be with anyone that's below the standard. I want them to have these kind of qualities, and you set that standard. You don't settle for less. You're going to be pleasantly surprised with when that opportunity does present itself, and you do find that person because you didn't settle for less, and you don't want to waste a bunch of time in the wrong relationship. When right off the bat it's not a good fit because you guys are opposites.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. 100%. You set the standard for yourself, and then you choose what you accept in life.
Absolutely. And it's the same way in business. You have to set a certain standard. Okay, I'm not gonna charge below this certain amount. I'm not gonna work this less than this amount every single day towards my goals. So you have to set that standard, and you have to stick to it. And so that's why even though I'm not a bodybuilder, I've always been obsessed with a bodybuilding mindset and doing whatever it takes. And it kind of carries over into business. So, the better you can take care of yourself in the gym, and you can have that structure and that discipline and show up for yourself every single day, that's going to carry over into your business as well. And so it's those the foundation of a very successful business, because it all just starts with high actions and discipline and doing whatever it takes, not cutting corners.
Absolutely. Going back to the money thing, mm-hmm. I actually never felt that, like, ever in my life. My dad came from Egypt. Well, he came from Nigeria, technically. But he came to America, and for him, it's like, wow, the world's my palm. I can do whatever I want. And he always had that, immigrant mindset of I can do whatever. And I always like looked up to that, and I got that from him. So it was like, I never thought money as a bad thing. I always thought like the world is literally ours. We live in America. It's a capitalist country. We can do as much as we want or as little as you want. And there's nothing wrong with either.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only ever lived in this country, so I'm not sure about other countries, but what's great I would say about the United States is that you get out what you put in to your business, right? And it's structured that way. So like I said, it all comes back into taking those high actions. So with real estate for me, right, it's revenue generating activities, showing up for yourself and making sure you're making those dials, making sure I'm running those, paid advertisements, and I'm reverse engineering, and I'm making sure that I'm out, I'm fixing. It's really important to keep track of all your numbers so that you can figure out what your weaknesses are. Okay, maybe I don't have enough people showing up to meetings. We're scheduling a lot of appointments, but maybe they're not showing up. And so that's what we have to work on. And then you can kind of, dig into what do we need to do to have a better appointment show rate. And so that's one of the things that we struggled with in our business. And what we worked on was just confirming the appointment. So just a simple call, just saying, hey, I'm the sales manager, and, I just want to call and introduce myself and make sure we're still good to meet at this day and time. And then when we confirmed the appointment, we showed about a 30% increase in showing rate. So just small tweaks like that. But yeah, I've really been big on just trying to, self-improvement. I think one of the biggest things I personally have done to improve myself was stop drinking, which was really difficult. I've lived in Scottsdale for like now almost last 12 years. And, drinking's been a big part of my life. There's a lot of walkability, a lot of nightlife, a lot of entertainment. Everyone's always wanting to go out and drink. There's not much to do in Arizona. We don't have a beach to go to. We don't have, some of the other stuff that other states will have. So a lot of people in Scottsdale, just go to drinking, right? And that's something that's been a big part of my life, especially in car sales. I didn't know how to deal with the stress, in my early 20s, and so I would just drink a lot after work. I never had a problem with alcohol, never drink and drive, right? I was never got to that point or anything, but I just got to a point where it just no longer served me, and I decided, okay, I'm just gonna feel way better about myself and not, have to deal with hangovers and everything if I just cut out alcohol completely. And so it was just a simple change in my life that has really helped me, significantly with like confidence, I would say, more than anything, because I picked out something that I stuck to it, is essentially what I'm trying to say. I made a decision and I stuck to it, and I really think that's how confidence is built. So it doesn't have to be stop drinking, but when you show up for yourself and you stay true to your own word, you keep your own word to yourself, that's how you build confidence more than anything.
Now you got video games. Healthier alternative.
Yeah. I don't want people thinking I'm playing.
All you boomers who said don't play video games. Fuck y'all.
And keep it within reason. I mean, still crush your business, still crush your goals. That's going to always be your number one priority, right? Your friends, your family, everything. When you have that spare time and you need that mental reset, decide what option's going to be best for you, right? Is that the gym? Is that maybe a little bit of video games here and there? Is that, maybe some drinks with some friends? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drinking. I'm just talking about my own personal experience. That's something I personally had to remove from my life. And it, ever since I've personally have felt way better. But, yeah, just rambling on at this point.
So let's go back to your real estate journey. So you were in car sales for 10 years, and you just jump into the game, and you sold what, like 10 million your second year or something?
I sold a little under 10 million every single year. So
your first year in real estate, you sold 10 million.
Yes.
Not on a team. No one's handing you leads.
Right.
You figured it out. You just ground it out. That is a very rare thing. I don't think you realize how rare that is. Like, most people do like a deal their first year if they're lucky, and it's a referral from someone they know.
Mm-hmm.
You went out there and you ground it out, and you hustled, and you made it happen to the tune of 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty incredible thing. And I've told you that before. How does that car sales experience help you just know how to do that?
It totally helps with all the fundamentals, right? Meeting people, being comfortable, having very difficult conversations, navigating through complex situations. This all translated into real estate. It was just about learning about the physical real estate itself, the laws, the regulations, the contracts, the negotiations, the repairs. the zip codes. So really, I had the fundamentals down when it came to servicing, client service, customer service, and being able to take actions. I was at the dealership making calls all the time, so that wasn't an issue. I think that's really difficult for people if you have never had a high stressful sales position before. It's going to be really difficult to get into real estate. You're going to have a big learning curve. For me, it was kind of a little bit more natural. It was more just about learning, like I said, the real estate itself and the product and everything. But yeah, definitely it put me way ahead in my opinion, having all that experience. And I think what people don't understand about real estate is it's a very difficult business, but it's not too difficult to go get your license, but to learn how to actually run a business, help clients, grow your business, scale your business, and stay consistent. Those are the things they're not going to teach you in the real estate school. Those are things that you're going to have to get mentorship, or you're going to just have to put in years to really figure it out. So if you're committed to figuring something out, you can fail forward, you can struggle, and you're going to learn what it's going to take to be consistent and to build a business. And everyone's different. There's different ways to get business. Everyone has their own method. Mine's a little bit more I would say like labor intensive, or whatever you want to call it, having to go find clients every single month and then make them long-term clients. A little bit different than someone that maybe is getting tons of referrals. But the great thing about my business model is that these clients, you give them a great experience, they're going to send you a bunch of referrals. So really what I'm building is a huge web, and it's a compounding every year, month over month, year over year. It's a huge compounding business where, I'm eventually going to get to the point I have over 500 clients I've sold a home to, and I'm just going to be having my phone ring off the hook. This year alone, I think I've gotten about 4 or 5 referrals, and in my first year, 0 referrals, right? So you have to be able to really just have, I think anyone sending you business as icing on the cake, but your true model for getting business is going to be, making those calls or doing some sort of marketing that's going to bring those clients in. And then, like I said, the referrals, you're never really going to be able to track how many referrals are going to be sent to you. It's going to be icing on the cake. But, at a certain point, when you have enough clients, you're going to be able to allocate, okay, I'll probably get, 20 referrals this year because I've sold, however many clients. So that's the thing about real estate. It's very long-term. It's very compounding. It's a very slow business. I was told that from day one. When I was leaving car sales, they said, don't leave it. The money's really slow. And I really didn't allocate and correctly estimate how slow it actually was. But
which is why the 10 million was so impressive for your first year.
Yeah, no, and I really did find kind of a today business model. What I mean by that is finding a business today, which is unlikely in real estate, because usually you'll meet with someone, it'll be a very long follow-up, and then it's not like something where you can pressure someone to want to go buy a home or tell them that they should buy a home. It's really going to be on their own time when they feel ready, and it's just going to be about you showing that you're the best person for that for that job when the time comes.
Absolutely, yeah. On the referral thing, I do want to say though, like, if you own a store or a restaurant, how do you know how many people are going to come in a day? You really don't. It's like whoever comes in, comes in. But they can kind of guess, okay, the past few weeks have been like this, on this day at this time, we can probably expect this many people, or there's an event that's going to give us a spike, whatever it is, they have an idea, and that's how they stay afloat. As you build your real estate business, and especially as you start getting repeat clients and referrals, it is exactly the same as having a restaurant or a store.
Yeah.
You kind of know how many people are going to walk in just based on past performance.
Yeah.
But it takes years to get to that point.
Absolutely. Right. So on the restaurant thing, you're going to know if you have a good restaurant or not, because you're either going to be busy or not. So like, I know I'm a good agent because I'm consistently busy. So as a byproduct of me being a good agent, I'm naturally going to get referrals. So same thing with the restaurant. If you know your food is really good and you're busy, you know that people are going to go tell their friends and family about it, and it's going to compound over time. Exactly. Same thing translate into real estate. It's just about having a good product, and you are the product. And really, I don't think it's any rocket science. I think it's old school professionalism, listening to your clients, keeping your word, and hand delivering them on a silver platter the best experience possible, and putting your heart and soul into it, because really it is a huge purchase and people are so emotional about the process. You have to be that stoic, gladiator that's going to see it through, and kind of be the one to not get emotional when things go south, and to just make them feel comfortable and confident about their decision.
Can't freak out.
Yeah.
Clients freak out. You got to keep it cool.
Absolutely.
That's
where I think stoicism really is a great attribute to being a salesperson. You have to be stoic, and there's times where I want to get emotional and say something to a client or especially like an agent, and I'll just let myself get 30 minutes, get a mental reset, and come back, and just be neutral. You can't be emotional or show any sort of weakness, because it's your client's home that's on the line, and so it's their shelter. It's what they're going to be moving into, and their money. And so when you're dealing with a large transaction like that, it's very serious.
And their ego. And a lot of times it's their ego too.
Yeah. And usually people will, it'll usually hit people and they'll correct themselves. But when you say anything or you start arguing with the client, it's the worst thing you can do is to disagree with your client. You're just going to throw, you're just throwing fire on,
fuel on the fire.
You're just throwing fuel on the fire, and you're going to make the situation worse. When you can come at them correctly and just, guide them without getting too emotional, even if, they maybe were getting emotional. And, I've had people before, rarely, but name call or whatever, or, they get upset about something that you and I may not think is a big deal because we're in real estate, but it's a very small issue that, we can fix. They get over emotional about it. Those are the times where we just kind of have to look at it from their perspective. Look, they've never bought a home before, or, I totally understand where they're coming from, and just take a back seat and just kind of let it smooth itself out.
I want to say when I was like 24, I probably, I'm going to say his name. So I'd say he's probably the best real estate broker of all time. His name's Eddie Shapiro, founded Nest Seekers. He would say something, and I'm like 24. I'm just like a raging bull. I'm just like, I do the work, I work really hard, and I make stuff happen just by brute force. But he would say something, and the way he would always explain things is he would make you think what he wanted you to think, and he'd make you think it's your idea. Just the way he said that. It kind of blew my mind the first time he did that. He was he had a conversation with me and just tried to make it my idea. And I was like, damn. How do you do that? I think that's ultimately what you have to do. Yeah. You have to learn how to not be confrontational, not confront people, but also, you have to be their idea.
A solution provider.
Solution provider, and then it's their idea.
The money's in the problems. And what I mean by that is that if you can go solve these problems and provide a solution, you're going to make a lot of money. So you can go look for the problems in real estate, and there's a lot of problems that other agents don't want to deal with. If you can go find those problems, and there always are going to be a lot of problems, you can provide that solution. You're going to be the one that's going to be able to broker that deal and get paid that commission. But it's just a lot of times people aren't going to want to deal with those kind of issues. Understandably, everyone has a different business model, and mine's always been a little bit more kind of taking on any situation, here to help, really coming from a place of wanting to help people. And but at this point, I will say, at this point in my career, sometimes no client's better than a bad client. Yeah. And what I mean, there's no bad clients, but what I mean by that is if someone is intentionally trying to cause you harm as an agent, and there's just no reasoning with them. There's people out there. I mean, I can go on and on. There's just, it's not worth investing all my time into a client that doesn't appreciate my effort, doesn't want to listen, doesn't want me to help them, when I can be helping, several other people, because that's going to take up all my time, with one bad client. So sometimes no client is better than a bad client. I think people feel like we're obligated to help them because we're real estate agents. And I feel like people forget that it's a mutual consent, independent contractor type agreement where we're not obligated to help anyone we don't want to. Obviously, we want, you know, as much business as possible, but we're not going to want to. Oh, bombing.
I didn't book the room, so that's my fault. Sorry, Bauman.
Wait, I didn't mean to. You guys
Very
are
good.
recording.
We are actually recording, but it's a boom mic, so they can hear you right now. Bauman, everybody. He's the Kramer right now. He's just walking in off camera.
Well, if I was the Kramer, I'd be doing my full. I'll let you guys get back to it.
See you. The joys of Empire. So I kind of thought we were just going to come in here and just talk bullshit. But you got a little deep on me.
Well, you know, you would have got me in here a year ago or 2 years ago. I'd probably want to just bullshit. I feel
Or like
feel
6 months ago when we did the Gentleman's Club.
Yeah. That was only 6 months ago?
That was probably a year ago now, actually.
I was going to say. Well, no, that's probably like June or July. It's not been in quite a year, I don't think, yet. But anyways, yeah, the point is, you know, I feel like naturally I was always kind of funny. Like, people thought it was funny, whatever. One of the funnier guys in the group, whatever. And
I don't think that.
Yeah, right, Nick. I don't know. You know, life took a turn. I've gotten a little bit more serious. I've realized I'm not getting any younger, and you know, I had to decide what I want out of life, and I'm not gonna stop until I get everything I want out of this life. So, very blessed, and yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
You've always been a good friend.
Damn right.
I know
buddy.
people give you a lot of shit, but Nick has always been a really good friend to me. He's always
Gives
been
me
there
shit.
and had my back.
Who gives me shit?
Hmm?
Who gives me shit? Well, Jensen's raising his hand back there.
All the Scots, though.
Jensen's gonna, like, you know, put some bunny ears on my head in the middle of a video or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even watch the stuff he sends me. He probably could.
Huh.
I wouldn't even know.
Maybe.
So, what's your guys' favorite energy drinks?
Celsius.
Hot garbage.
Triple shot espresso with a white monster.
So, a White Monster.
Yeah.
After a triple shot?
You mix them together.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Ooh.
Bro, is your heart okay?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure? Did you check your blood pressure
No,
recently?
honestly, when you drink that much caffeine, you grow such a tolerance that it really doesn't affect you like it would other people. So I probably could handle that. I don't know about 3 shots. That's crazy. But we've been drinking a lot of Ghost. I kind of put my girlfriend onto it, and yeah, you know what though? Ghost isn't that bad for like what they put in there. You obviously, if you drink like 3 a day, it's probably not good, which I've done before. You know, I'll do it again. But those flavors are so damn good. They're so smooth.
The first time I had 2 Celsius in a day, I had the second one at like noon. And it's like 2 a.m. that night, and I'm just laying there, and my heart's pounding, and I'm
Dude,
like, I can't sleep.
Celsius is like, they put something weird in there, like cracks you out. I don't like it. I like most energy drinks. I can't do Monster. I can do Ghost. I don't know if you guys have tried Rise, but the Rise ones,
Love fries.
Rise is really good.
He's asked me to buy him Rise before.
The Rise like really wakes you up too. With Ghost, it's like kind of drinking a soda. Like I don't always get like the stimulation I need, but yeah.
You're saying I have to experiment with energy drinks.
Yeah, I would
That's what I'm
try. I would
hearing.
try Ghost. Yeah, I like to take a pre-workout sometimes.
Well,
My
my
girlfriend likes Alani.
I've actually been buying like the Celsius, like the powder.
Yeah.
So I just get the powder and I mix it myself. It's like
Oh,
a
we-
fraction of the price of buying the canned drinks.
We know you're putting that shit in your nose. Come on now.
Are you not? Is that not what it's for? Do you not snort Celsius powder? Like,
Nick, we met at an open house
that's right.
in McCormick Ranch, and then we kept running into each other randomly, and then we ended up having the same mutual friends, and then we ended up becoming really good friends, like best friends. So, isn't it funny how life works out? I mean, we used to hate each other, or is that just me hitting you? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you shit, Nick. This guy.
I'm trying to think about it. It was Casey who put like the Gentleman's Club group together. You got Josh, you got you, and then we brought Deerdorf into it.
Yeah, so I knew all of you guys separately, but I didn't realize you guys were all friends too. And I said, let's just start, getting dinners together. And yeah, then we really hit it off, and then we just started hanging out a bunch. So it's kind of funny how life works out. But
Yeah, and now Deerdorf
It's a
lives
small
in
town.
Casey's apartment.
everyone in Scottsdale knows each other. It's like a small town.
Yeah, it really is. Because you think Phoenix is a big city, and it is, but if you live in, Buckeye, you're not coming over here. And Buckeye's part of the Phoenix Metro.
I don't consider even Phoenix is a big city, but it's so weird. It's like a long city, and so like South Phoenix and North Phoenix are like two different cities completely.
Yeah.
And then Central's a very interesting area. But I almost consider like Phoenix like three. I would divide it into like three cities, and then you have like North Phoenix, which is basically Carefree, which is still like a Phoenix zip code. So Phoenix is a really odd city. I think Scottsdale's like pretty straightforward.
North Scottsdale and Old Town are very different.
They're very
and then Central Scottsdale.
They're very different, but it's kind of like
East of the
easier
101.
to understand, kind of. Mesa's a huge city. I think Mesa's actually the biggest city, right? It's the biggest city in the East Valley. Mesa.
Like land-wise?
The zip
population-wise.
Just the city itself is the biggest. I don't know about population-wise.
Yeah, I think population-wise it's probably Gilbert, but Gilbert is almost as big as Scottsdale, which is wild.
Gilbert's really nice. It has a really good vibe to it. I like Gilbert. I think Gilbert's just one of those areas that's always going to be nice. Scottsdale there's a lot of money in Scottsdale. I don't see that going anywhere. There's going to keep putting money in here. So I think Scottsdale's really nice. I don't know where we're going on with this. There's a lot of nice places in Arizona. It's really weird. It's one of those places where you can be like in the West Valley, and there's mansions in this neighborhood, and you can go half a mile up the road, and you feel like you're in a whole different city. But there's a lot of heart in the West Valley, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that's where a lot of native Phoenicians, native people to Arizona are from, is the West Valley. And there's a lot of really nice newer development. Blackstone community in North Peoria is beautiful. There's nothing like it, and it's just I don't know why. If it's because on the map it's literally like a symmetrical divide between the East Valley and the West Valley, but they really feel like two different worlds to me. I think West Valley is a little bit more slower paced, kind of more chill, and East Valley's a lot more transplants. I'm just taking a shot in the dark here, so I don't know statistically, but I think when people move from out of state, they like to move to the East Valley more, in my experience. And there's a lot more like golf courses. There's, it's just a little bit different. East Valley and West Valley, but both have their pros and their cons. But I think if you're looking for more entertainment, more fun, more vibrance, more walkability, more things to do, East Valley all day. I think if you're looking for something chill, quiet, suburbs, raise a family, it could be either West Valley or East Valley, but I don't think people understand the West Valley as well as the East Valley. East Valley is a little bit easier to navigate through. What do you think? I don't know what we're talking about now.
Yeah,
It's like on the rant.
I grew up in the East Valley, so I'm a native in Arizona. And I grew up in the East Valley. I literally never went to the West Valley. And now I sell real estate. I've gone to the West Valley like twice.
And I grew up in the West Valley, and I moved to Scottsdale in my early 20s. Lived here ever since, and it was funny because the only time I would ever go to the East Valley was once a year to Gilbert for family. Knew nothing about it. Didn't even know Scottsdale was a place. Like, you just don't know what you don't know.
You guys didn't call Scottsdale Snobsdale growing up?
No.
Oh,
I mean, you don't know.
Snotsdale.
No, I mean the West Valley. I mean it's nice. It has its parts, right? Just like anywhere. But it'll be interesting to see how Arizona looks in the next 10 years, because really all the land's getting taken up. So land's extremely valuable, and anyone that gets their hands on land here, they're just developing it into some sort of like tech plant, So it's changed a lot the last 20 years, and we'll see how it looks in the next 10 years. But one thing I can say for certain is home prices are going to go up.
Definitely.
It's a simple supply and demand thing. I understand people's perception on it because, we've had a crash and stuff before. There's just nothing that supports that. And then secondly, if you have all this stuff moving here, why would that slow down prices? It's just going to make it more busy, more people, more housing needed, less inventory, higher demand, higher prices.
Absolutely.
Simply put, right?
I didn't move back to Arizona for business or real estate. I moved back here because I'm from here and all my family's here. So this is a life choice. But
Arizona's better than New York anyway.
I am very grateful business-wise. I will say that. Grateful that my family is here. So
Yeah. It's always nice being close to family. You know, this is the first time in my life I have a family member that lives in a different state, and it really sucks because it's just like when you grow up and you see your family all the time, you don't realize how precious those moments are. I know how cliche that might sound, but it's so important to not, time is such a precious commodity. Is that a word? I'm just trying to sound smart at this point.
yeah, it is.
Like, comment, and subscribe. follow the stream, follow the YouTube. I'm just kidding.
So what's next for 2026?
I'm trying to learn more about AI and more about automations. And I think I will say, I know this is a very unpopular opinion. I think AI is way overhyped in the real estate space right now. And the reason I say that is I know people that are crazy good with AI, like years ahead of me, and they don't sell much because they don't have they don't have the marketing and the salesperson. So if you can combine the automations with AI, the marketing and the sales, and you can get all that dialed in, I think that's going to make you a very complete agent. I think we're at the point right now where you don't need AI, but I think it's getting to the point where if you want to stay in the game and you want to stay productive, you're going to need some sort of, AI for sure. I hate saying that word, it's so overused, AI, but anyways, the point I'm making is I remember it was so hyped last year. Everyone's, I'm adding AI to this business, and then just crickets. It's like the same teams that were using the same methods are still on top. The same people that are being consistent and crushing are still doing the same things. And it's revenue generating activities. It's finding clients. It's making them happy. It's selling them homes. It's getting referrals. The AI could significantly help you, right? It could take some headaches out in your business, but it's not going to go sell you, 50 homes.
So I just sent this to Casey today. It's very relevant to what we're just talking about. It's a tweet, and it says, "I don't know a single A player who is gung-ho about AI. It's the opportunity of a generation for C players to try and hide how much they suck."
And that's a very rude, that's a very condescending way of putting it, but that's the truth, right?
It's the truth.
Is you can hide behind AI. You can have people try to do all these automated text messages and all that, right? At the end of the day, this is such a emotional purchase and such an intimate relationship with your clients. You need that human touch. You need to know that you're delegating this very difficult, task and situation to a true professional that can see it through and that you can put all your confidence in. AI is just not there yet for that. But I'm not gonna downplay that it's really good with automations. The whole Claude thing. I've been trying to play around with it. It's very impressive, but it doesn't move the needle to replacing a real estate agent or whatever. It could help certainly streamline. That's what it is. It's streamlining processes, but it's not replacing salespeople. Not yet, anyways.
You came to talk today, buddy. I love this.
I came to yap.
Yeah.
I don't think I made any sense this far.
No, this was great.
But
and I
if
actually
someone
love.
can get one good takeaway from what I said, that's my mission, is to try to sound smarter than I am.
A lot of times I have people in here and they're afraid to talk at first. I gotta lube them up, warm them up. You came in here, you just went off. You just popped off, my man.
I tried, man.
He's grown so much, everybody. Derek Tschilar. Check him out. AZ. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.